If COVID-19 had not struck us this year, will 2020 be any better? I'm not so sure because we've seen the California fires, the Australian bushfires, untimely cyclones, floods, and each one of them has killed a lot of people and caused a lot of damage to this planet. And this year has woken us up to the threat that climate change poses and the necessity of having to come together and chart a path towards a sustainable future. And to do that, to provide thought leadership on that, we have with us two gentlemen with a lot of experience and a lot of skin in the game. Let's get together and welcome Lord Adair Turner, the man who chairs the Energy Transitions Commission, and Gunther Buschek, Tata Motors Managing Director and CEO. He controls everything of one of India's biggest car makers as well as commercial vehicle maker, except the subsidiary that is Jaguar Land Rover. Welcome, gentlemen, and thanks for being part of this Global Trends Festival. I'm delighted to have you here, and this is one of the most important topics as we discuss today's theme, Welcome to the Future. And I want to turn to you, Lord Turner. Before we get into sustainable mobility with Mr. Buschek, I want you to come, share with us the big picture, the harsh realities, and set the tone for the rest of the discussion.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, if you talk about sustainability, it actually has many dimensions, for instance, of biodiversity, local air quality, etc. But clearly one of the most important is simply climate change. And ultimately, to limit climate change to even 1.5 degree warming above pre-industrial levels, we have to get the whole global economy to around net zero emissions at about mid-century. The good news is that at the Energy Transition Commission, we think that that's absolutely possible, and we're clear of what the balance of technologies are. And the most important is producing green electricity and electrifying as much of the economy as possible. The only way to end up with a zero emission, global economy is to take electricity from today's about 20% of final energy demand to say 65% by 2050, with a significant role for hydrogen on top of that. There are huge byproduct of advantages of that in terms of economic opportunity, in terms of local pollution effects. Electricity really is the wonder technology. It is silent and it is completely clean at the point of use. And the good news is that we now know how to produce electricity as cheap from renewables and other zero carbon sources as from fossil fuels. So you asked me for the big picture. The big picture is decarbonize our electricity systems as fast as possible and then electrify as much of the economy as possible. Now, there are some bits of the economy where you can't directly electrify, like steel production or petrochemical production, but there, for instance, you can use hydrogen, which you make from green electricity as a key input. So that still brings us back to the single most important thing, not everything, but the single most important thing is decarbonizing the electricity system and electrifying as much of our economy as possible, and also developing a hydrogen economy.
Thank you, Lord Turner, for setting the stage, and I will turn to you, Mr. Buschek. You are someone who thinks electric vehicles are only the starting point of sustainable mobility. I'm sure the audience here would like to hear you expound on that a little bit more.
I think people have also started to understand the inherent benefits of the electric vehicles. Cheaper to run, cheaper to maintain, also the usage of government incentives, currently more in India with FAME2 towards the fleets. But there are also, in particular in Delhi, some first attempts to make it beneficial and to give benefits, to grant benefits, also to the retail customers, as we call it. So we do see, although the numbers are still very slow, a couple of hundred per month, that electrification, electric mobility has got a wider popularity, gets a faster acceptance, and therefore I think we actually need to embark on a journey which goes far beyond Tata Motors or other OEMs as OEMs. Because electric mobility, clean mobility is not just a question of something that actually comes on 2, 3, 4, or many more wheels. It's actually about establishing an ecosystem. It's the call out for a strong, supportive ecosystem as an imperative in order to drive the electrification journey. While at the same point of time, we need to make sure that electric mobility is going to become affordable. In the initial stage, as we expect that the battery prices will actually reduce over the time, we need to strike the right balance between range on the one and cost of acquisition on the other side. So we need to be much more focused on the use case. Why shall I actually put for lots of money a battery capacity that would actually enable 400 kilometers of range if the average use case of a particular customer from charging point to charging point is possibly 50 kilometers on a daily basis. So, because if you would like to explore it, the Indian market to a larger extent plays sub 4 meters, as you do know, and below 10,000 US dollars. But this is exactly the 50% of the market that needs to be made electric, because this is going to give us the strongest influence on the overall carbon footprint, building sustainable mobility. And we as an OEM, and we as OEMs need to learn and to understand that we need collaborations. Because we will not be in a position on our own to establish such kind of ecosystem. We actually need collaborations beyond the scope of our industry. We need to collaborate with
Lord Turner, how would you respond to that?
We did not even know their name, and as far as Tata is concerned, we have heard the announcement last year in December. We have actually joined forces. We have joined hands as Tata Group companies in order to establish an ecosystem that really goes from the battery all the way to the charging, from the mobility concept to the infrastructure, from maintenance to insurance. And this is all available, and we have nicely summarized it under a mark, under a label that's called Tata Universe, because we believe that the ecosystem needs to follow, needs to go intact with the simultaneously with the availability of mobility solutions where larger choice is required in order to attract the attention of the customers. And if it gets affordable in the infrastructure, the ecosystem is going to be available. And then getting the clean energy provided by Lord Turner, then I think we can make a fundamental change in a shorter period of time than what we would currently envisage, where we have rough estimates where we might end up in terms of conversion rate.
Okay, Lord Turner, you heard Mr. Bushek say that it's about creating an ecosystem. It's not just about rolling out electric cars. Sustainable mobility is a lot more than that. Who has this responsibility of creating this ecosystem? Who do we turn to? Do you have any experiences from other countries that you can share with us on this note?
Well, I think the answer is we don't have experiences yet, because no country is really far advanced with the electrification of passenger transport. So we're trying to think it through. And Mr. Bushek is quite right to point out that what we should not be doing is simply taking the existing road transport system and electrifying it. What we've started with is electrification because it made economic sense for the OEMs and the brand owners, was to electrify large prestige cars, the Teslas. But that means that so far there aren't the offers for mass electrification, because the mass of Indian people are not going to be able to afford a large Tesla. And also there isn't just room in the streets for everybody to be driving around in a large Tesla. So one of the things we do need is smaller electric cars. And if we get it right, it will be possible for those to be smaller and lighter because they'll have smaller batteries. But to get smaller batteries, we need to get the charging systems right. So as Mr. Bushek says, people are happy maybe with a battery that just has a 100-kilometer range because they're going to use that car within the city, and they know that everywhere they go in the city, both at home and at their office and at the shopping mall, there'll be a charging possibility. So it's absolutely right that we need to get this whole ecosystem right.
I'm glad Lord Turner brought up the point of Elon Musk and Tesla, because that is going to be my next question to you, Mr. Bushek. A lot of fan following, people do get excited when Musk makes an announcement, and he has told people that he is planning to enter India soon. How does Tata Motors plan to deal with that challenge, that level of R&D, that level of technology? What does Tata Motors plan to counter Elon Musk and Tesla?
Here, Tata Motors, at least in the segments where we are represented in the Indian market, we are not competing with the Tesla. But without talking about what do we do against, what do we actually do along the same line of thoughts and along the same lines as far as the overall vision of sustainable mobility is concerned. And believe me, if you would join us in our boardroom discussions, you will actually see that our vision, our objectives are very similar. In all honesty, Elon Musk had the opportunity to start with a clean slate, strong investors, to actually build a greenfield venture. Us, like others, traditional automotive players, OEMs, have history of progressively evolving. So converting a brownfield venture into a greenfield one is actually a major task.
If you buy an electric car, you'll be producing more emissions than if you were running an internal combustion engine. They need to get that below about 600. Now, India will get there within the next 10 years, provided it has the following strategy, and this is what we are working on in the Energy Transition Commission. India should make sure that all the growth of its electricity now comes from renewable sources, and that is absolutely possible. India today produces about and consumes about 11 or 1200 terawatt hours per annum. By the early 2030s, that will probably be about 2,400 terawatt hours per annum, and it would be quite possible for all the increase in the electricity to come from renewables.
I need to call it, this is the end of it because that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for being part of this Global Trends Festival.